as a representation of our opinions made entirely for fun. It's just a quick discussion to find which movie of those we have selected is objectively the best. We look forward to hearing your own opinion down in the comments and whether or not you agree with our rankings. This is our first video. We are experimenting and learning as we go. If you have any suggestions, we'd love to hear about it in the comment section. This video, we will be taking a brief look into which Pixar movie we believe is the best. We have selected some of our favorite Pixar movies to be compared against each other in a random March Madness style bracket.
I personally think Finding Nemo was better, and the reason Finding Dory was good was it did have funny parts, it did have good animation, better animation. It was riding off the back of what Finding Nemo set up. Obviously, that's what a sequel is, but I just don't think it was as good of a story as the original one.
Yeah.
Relying on that nostalgia. What do you think, Tash? Dory or Nemo?
I think there's good aspects to both.
I'm fishing for an answer.
I liked Finding Dory better, actually. I thought there was a lot more funny parts in Finding Dory. I really liked Gerald. I love Gerald, you know?
Gerald carries the movie.
Honestly, I don't know. I thought it was a good story to kind of learn who Dory actually is.
It's like Ellen DeGeneres. Get out of here.
Maybe a little, but that's okay.
Cam, so I said Nemo. I just don't think it's quite it's the OG. It's what you think of. You don't think of Finding Dory when you're like thinking of animated fish movies. You think of Nemo.
Yeah, I agree with that totally. Like, Nemo was the OG movie.
It's just, I don't know, there's good points to Dory. Like, there's some really good ones. But I just can't say Dory's better than Nemo because lots of it was just dumb jokes. Whereas Nemo was more that heartfelt, like the dad's out searching for his son.
Are you calling me dumb?
Well,
Because I like the dumb jokes.
Yes.
I never explicitly said that, but
I'll agree with that. It's a good enough argument, I guess.
so
Nemo it is.
Yeah, just the story's better. That makes sense.
I don't watch movies for the stories. I watch them for the movies.
Okay,
All right, next one.
Okay, so Incredibles versus Onward. Onward was a really good movie. It's got that really, I think the narrative was better in Onward. Like it was more that emotional journey of finding who you are along with like the magic and everything. But Incredibles is the Incredibles. Like, so this is a tough one for me.
Yeah, I don't think The Incredibles was as incredible as Onward. I really enjoyed Onward. I liked the adventure aspect.
But you got Frozone saying, "Honey, where's my super suit?" So how can you compete with that? I don't remember any one line from Onward.
Yeah, in The Incredibles, you have quite a few lines.
And like it still showed that amazing story of, hey, we're a normal crime-fighting family. Like that was kind of the first one of the superhero movies out.
But no, I like Incredibles though, because the action, it's a good child's movie.
But then to go back to, because they're both about family, both these stories, which is why they're a good pair. But I do think Onward had a better family story in the end. I want to say Incredibles, but Natasha did bring some solid points that I don't think she's changed me. I still want to say Incredibles.
You guys suck. That's okay. Okay, now Toy Story and Monsters, Inc.
Okay, this is a good matchup. I don't even know where to start. They're both solid movies. Any Pixar fan knows that these are top movies.
The thing that amazed me about Monsters Inc. is the animation was way ahead of its time. It took like there was over like I think I read somewhere there was like over 1 million hairs on Sullivan.
I think Monsters Inc. gets the automatic pass because of the Mike Wazowski meme.
Let's go.
Mike Wazowski!
Yeah. Sure, step aside, kid. We're in a...
More memes came out of Monsters Inc. than Toy Story. Like, yeah, Toy Story has a couple memes, but Monsters Inc. has those like good ones.
I don't know, but let's stick away from what's outside the movie. Let's focus on the movie. I think Monsters Inc. and Toy Story both have well-written stories. They're fun, interesting. They're pretty similar when I think about it. I think Monsters Inc. though, because it was just more relatable. Like Toy Story was more like imaginative, like any kid could do that. Monsters Inc. was more like, hey, these monsters that kids are scared of aren't that scary. Like it was kind of going for that narrative, which I kind of appreciated as a kid.
Yeah, that's a good say.
That's a good. Yeah, no, I agree. I just all of the aspects of Monsters Inc. better. My favorite scene is when Mike and his girlfriend, they're out for supper. Like that's when they discover like Boo is out, the whole town, and they're all like freaking out, and Sully comes and crashes it. Like, I don't know. I just watched it so much as a child. I even had it on VCR, so
So
It's
that's
not a big
nostalgia for you.
Yeah. I mean, like, Toy Story does have some good parts.
The thing is with Toy Story, it doesn't have the same rewatchability for me. Like, yeah, I watched it twice, but I wouldn't think, hey, I feel like Toy Story 1. I like, yes, it's a good movie, but once you've seen it, you've kind of seen them all. That's how I felt with the whole series of Toy Story.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So, Monsters Inc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, for Soul and Wally, like, I love Soul so much. It was such an amazing movie that, like, I'm going Soul on this one.
So I agree with Natasha actually because it wasn't like Wally was a good story. It was like a positive message, just like with most Pixar movies as we've seen. But with Wally, it just felt like it was so slow there at points. It just felt like yes, it was trying to show us the importance of trash and all this stuff, but at the same time, it was also I don't know, it was just wasn't that good of a keep me engaged until also in the end. Like the first intro parts had me, oh, this is cool, and then it was slow in the middle, and then finally the action kicked in. So it was just a little too slow for me, and it was a little bit too predictable. Whereas Soul, it just blew me back, like all these different things. I never knew where it was going next. It was such an imaginative idea of what the soul actually is. So I really liked that.
See, I like the message better on Wall-E because it's like, if we don't take care of our Earth, we're gonna end up on a wasteland. You know what I mean? Like, so the message for that is way better. But Soul, it just had like the imagination, Like, what do you think your soul is like? Going into like how deep your personality is and how you act because of your personality.
So what do you think, Wally?
I'm honestly gonna go with Soul on this one. It's relatable, like, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm a jazz
Yeah.
teacher.
No, I totally agree. Because, like, it's questions that we all have. Like, we all, like, how do we get
Yeah,
our,
we're all looking for ourselves, and
you
Soul
know?
kind of shows like what goes into that.
Okay, so let's head over to that right side. Perfect. Let's start at the bottom right this time, just easier.
Coco is winning. I don't care. Like, no, Coco's winning. Brave is cool. She's like, oh, yeah, I'm a strong.
I don't know. The only reason Brave is a fine movie, fine standalone movie, and I like the message how it's teaching that hey, we have a strong independent female here. But I think that's the only really area it hit. Like the story was kind of bland, it was kind of forgettable. I don't know. The Brave was I don't know. Like I like the characters. I like the bears even when they were her brothers were turned into bears. I thought that was cool. But other than that, I don't really remember that much from the movie. Like it was that forgettable.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Whereas Coco, I loved. Like I really liked Coco. It was good. An emotional roller coaster.
It was. And again, it just touches on those, like, what happens, what's the afterlife, like, it's just like all these really kind of deep, scary questions I think we all have, and they make it like they lighten it and make it enjoyable, and it makes it seem not as scary. And
Yeah, all we can say is Brave is trash. Cam, do you agree?
I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Perfectly said from Natasha.
The only thing I didn't like about Incredibles too was they had all those strobe lights, so certain people weren't able to watch it. And I wasn't really fond of those scenes, and there was a lot of them. So that really threw me out of the movie.
that's so true. I forgot about that.
I thought it was really good because it continued right after Incredibles 1, right with the mole attacking, the mole man, mole king or whatever his name was attacking. I thought that was really cool, especially with how long he waited.
I like that they like experience with Jack's powers and how he has like every power. I like that about this movie and how maybe they can make an Incredibles 3 or something.
Up soundtrack, amazing. I'll throw that on and I'll study some Up soundtrack while I'm doing my studies and stuff. I wouldn't do the same for most of these other movies, but Up just stands out for that reason. The emotional story behind it, so much better than The Incredibles. Like the story behind it, that would never want to grow up, having to deal with grief, depression, all that. It teaches you that even a hard old man that's been sheltered by his depression can overcome and still find happiness and escape from reality in a sense.
Yeah, I like that.
So I would go with Up.
I go with Up. Yeah, the message is just it's there. I feel like Incredibles is just for the enjoyment.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, everything you said, Lionel, I love Up.
So I think we're all in consensus here. However, I'm not liking the way some of these matchups are looking. Like Up versus Coco, that's just emotion. Like now I have to figure out which one of those is better.
All right, I get the first say as Cars being one of my favorite films, watching it almost every day when I was young.
Oh, that was a dangerous combo. Every day he'd have the Xbox playing when I got home from school, and he was just like 2 years old.
Yeah, the visual, like the bringing cars into life, such a great idea. Like soundtrack's amazing, the
Life.
scene with like the low cars and all that pulling up on Mac, that's like an iconic scene, you know?
True. And like one of the most iconic Disney things, like Ka-chow.
I never disliked any single character in Cars besides Chick Hicks, but that was intentional. He was a bad guy. Whereas I still even liked him as a character. All the characters I loved. I loved King Dinoco. I loved Doc. I loved everyone. Like everyone was unique. I found they put so much detail into this, and the animations. I just remember I loved it. Like this is one of the movies I could rewatch any day and not get sick of. Like there's
Yeah, I just love how they like this little town got like separated because of the highway and they brought people back into the town, Like they made it back on the map.
I think
Also, when Guido takes out the whole pit team, that's an iconic scene. But Monsters University, I laughed a lot. Like I just watched this recently in the past couple months.
Monsters University, in my opinion, way better than the original Monsters Inc. Not only the animations are better, but that's just a given. So excluding that, I just think the story is a little bit better. I think it's more like, expands so much. It opens up that whole universe, and it wowed me. So these two are really strong opponents, but I think I'll go with Cars. It's just the better movie. I can't even compare them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How could you not like it? Like it's a chef who's a rat. Like he's amazing. Like, that in real life, that's not possible. A rat is a disgusting,
Gordon Ramsay's so good.
I've also been called
He's better
the
than
main
Gordon
character many times. Apparently, we look the same.
Nah, you
Not
look
the
like
rat.
Drew from Despicable Me. Face reveal at 500 subs.
Like Inside Out was, another really cool movie because sometimes we don't really understand where our emotions come from and why we're feeling certain things. So I like how, especially for younger audiences, it was like, oh, this is why, and like you have memories, so and we associate things with those memories, and that's why we're gonna have our emotions, and in situations that are similar, we're gonna have similar emotions because of our past. And like I thought it was really good, and the whole journey when she like did go into her deep sadness, and how there's still ways to find happiness even in change, and even when we're in situations that do make us sad, we can find joy.
I agree. Like I did like Inside Out, but it's nowhere near my top 10 favorite Pixar movies or animated movies out there. Like the issue with Inside Out was there's some good moments, but again, it just felt like it was trying to be emotional at parts, but it just didn't hit. There's memes I occasionally see that'll be like, "What's going on inside your head?" But that's all I really recall from the movie. There's not much else that I can even say about the movie. It's just yeah, it's you can't even argue that it went over Ratatouille. Like the message is better in Ratatouille. I think that Ratatouille has a better animation style. Even I think it's almost more realistic.
Remember to hit like and subscribe for more content. We have a bunch of different content coming soon that we hope you will enjoy.